morning and welcome to a very special interview show of the Prode. The Baltic Sea region has emerged as one of the most consequential front lines in European security. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, countries closest to Moscow have been moving fast than most, increasing defense spending, strengthening military infrastructure, and preparing for a far more uncertain future. Latvia, for instance, is now spending over 3.6% of its GDP on defense, while NATO has stepped up its presence through initiatives like Baltic Sentry to protect critical undersea infrastructure. At the same time, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania are building the Baltic defense line along their borders with Russia and Belarus, drawing clear lessons from the war in Ukraine. For these countries, the threat is not theoretical, it is immediate and deeply felt. To explore these critical developments, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Gatis Eglitis, a Latvian politician, economist, and former Minister of Welfare of Republic of Latvia with extensive experience across government, international institutions, and academia. Mr. Eglitis, thank you so much for your time and a very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Sir, Latvia has been one of Ukraine's most consistent supporters since the start of the full-scale invasion. What drives that commitment? And do you think Western Europe fully understands why this war feels so personal to countries like Latvia and other Baltic nations?
Sure. For us it's in a way sort of easy because 85 years ago we experienced what it means to be occupied by Russia. Soviet time, Soviet Russia at that time. So we know from history that it's not something that we want to repeat, and we are fully aware that Ukraine was only the first step in the grand plan of Putin's regime. So basically, his goal was to capture first Ukraine, and then of course move into Eastern Europe first, and maybe Western Europe later. So in a sense, we are of course grateful and fortunate that we have a brave Ukraine, which stopped at least for the last 4 years. Stop this advance, but of course it's far from over. It's far from over, and we are in a new situation every week, and we are not out of the woods, as I like to say, because we know that Putin and his regime, his junta. I like to say junta because it's not one person. It's basically at least 100 or 1,000 people who are involved in the regime, who have so much at stake that they will do everything to keep in power. So probably that's what you're going to ask. What is going to be their next move? So yeah, basically we're living already 4 years in this shadow of potential aggression also towards our countries.
Yeah, so Baltic nations have been warning about Russian aggression for years, long before much of the West took the threat seriously. So, looking back, do you feel Latvia was heard, and what do you say to those who are now waking up to this danger?
Mm, well, I would say there is still a lot of wishful thinking, and not only in Western Europe, in NATO, also in the Baltic countries as well. I mean, a lot of politicians and policy makers, they are still engaged in wishful thinking, sort of a bit naive, saying that this turbulence we are experiencing is gonna pass. It will the storm will pass us. So especially now 4 years, we've managed to contain the security situation, but as I always say, you have to be prepared for the worst case scenarios, and we are not out of the woods, and many people don't understand that yet, still, also in our countries, but even more in Europe, because they're people have their everyday worries, and they don't want their minds to be preoccupied by unpleasant things, especially if they're far far away from where you are, So it's probably a natural thing. Now the sun is shining, people want to enjoy their lives and then not think about bad scenarios, let's say.
Latvia shares the border with Russia and Belarus. So, how does that geographical reality shape everyday life and political decisions, making in a way that, say, France and Germany simply does not experience?
Absolutely, it's a direct, basically line, direct contact with the potential aggressor. When you're in Riga, you're only an hour, 20 minutes away fly to Moscow, or basically the border is very close. So of course, it's this proximity. It makes an impact, also mentally, of course, because you are very close to potential action if anything happens, conventional or hybrid form, whatever. So yes, I mean, but in a sense, we you have to get used to it as well, because otherwise it's difficult to live, if you're every day preoccupied by that. So it's 4 years now in this sort of potential risk mentality, uh, of course, but well, it is what it is, yeah.
NATO membership is often described as the cornerstone of Baltic security. But given what we have seen in Ukraine, how confident are Latvians that Article 5 would actually be invoked if it comes to it?
Sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Yeah, moving away, moving towards NATO membership. So, NATO
Sure.
membership is often described as the cornerstone of Baltic security. But given
Yes.
what we have seen in Ukraine, how confident are Latvians that Article 5 of NATO would actually be invoked if it came to it?
Absolutely. Well, so far it has not been tested, so it's for of course hard to say. This mechanism, decision making, the chain of command, all these important questions, they have not been triggered yet. So, of course, there is a worry that these, as I say, chain command, readiness to respond, readiness to defend, attack, whatever, that these mechanisms, they have, there is a question mark, how this will work, if anything happens. I mean, and basically, what will be the trigger? What kind of sort of attack we have seen, for instance, all these flying objects a year ago. Remember, in Poland and then in other Romania, where they flew the drones landed. Also in Latvia, there was one. So basically, what will be the trigger? So. And also, of course, everyone is aware that the backbone of the alliance, U.S. Has been unpredictable in the last year and more. So that is also, of course, a source of worry. But at the same time, we are neighboring Poland, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, which are like really, I would say, powerful. And also Ukraine, of course, is not far away. So if anything bad happens, I think there is also an awareness that we could expect sort of support from these countries, even if NATO structures are slow, or things are happening not as fast as we would like. So, but yeah, of course, we have the NATO battle groups in the three Baltic countries. But again, nobody knows what will be the trigger, how it will, in real life setting, how things will turn out if anything happens.
Yeah. Coming to the debate about United States, you mentioned about US. So there is a growing debate in Europe about whether the continent can and should defend itself more independently without relying so heavily on United States? Where does Latvia stand on that question?
Well, clearly, for the last 20, 25 years, we have invested heavily in our defense through the NATO and US lens. Basically, the US has always been our security guarantee, and the whole political establishment has been like 100% in favor that US is the ultimate security key. In the last year and so, of course, things have changed, and I think we have to be looking also for sort of plan B, option C, whatever, in case one of the members is not acting swiftly or decisively as we would like. And that's what I mentioned. These countries previously, that we are neighboring, and that perhaps we should be ready to work with them. If anything happens, and they are well armed, they are focused, but we are as you mentioned, we are investing in our defense. In the next 2 years, it will go up to 5% of GDP. So basically, I think we are one of the top spenders, investors in defense in the world. So I think that's what also President Trump has been saying, that you have to step up. So Baltic states, Poland, Nordics, we are stepping up. So you cannot blame us that we are not we are not investing. No, we are. So we'll see.
Yeah. Coming to the Ukrainian refugees, and you are a conservative politician yourself. So Latvia has taken a significant number of Ukrainian refugees. So what does that mean for Latvian society, and how is the country managing both the human and economic dimensions of that responsibility?
Sure. I would say it's only one of many shocks that we have had to endure in the last, I would say, 5 years, 6 years, since COVID. So we have dealt, I would say, well, not alone, of course, because it was the EU framework which basically allowed to absorb millions of Ukrainian refugees. Basically, the European Union saying that if you are from Ukraine, basically you're welcome to work. You don't have language requirements for work, and basically lifting off these restrictions. So I think, there hasn't been much of a debate in my country that, well, of course it costs money, it maybe takes away money from other needs, but there's I would say overall agreement that we're doing the right thing, and well, we're doing the what others should be doing as well, and I hope, I hope they are well integrated. So yeah, we're coping.
Yeah, some voices in the West are now pushing also for a negotiated settlement to end the war, even if it means giving up Ukrainian territory. How is Latvia's position on that? And what do you say to those who argue peace at any cost is better than a prolonged conflict?
Well, it's first of all, it's only the Ukrainians themselves who will have to, basically make a decision whether they accept anything or not, and then we will be 100% behind their decisions. But of course, the history shows that you cannot really appease someone who's on a imperial sort of land grabbing spree, let's say. So it's only a motivator to do more. It's just if the aggressor doesn't get his teeth, broken, then they will not stop. It's just more appetite. In a way, it's just maybe it prolongs something. It postpones the next campaign, but it's not these frozen conflicts. We have had many in Europe, and they basically there's nothing gets resolved, and and it's only a more appetite for Russian imperialism. Yeah, but in any case, it's the brave Ukrainians. If whatever they will decide, we will be 100% support.
Yeah, just a quick question on Iran. So, how's the war in Iran affecting the whole Ukrainian scenario right now? And how's politic nations viewing the war in Ukraine? Sorry, war in Iran.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think one effect that I've seen is I think the regime, the Putin regime, the junta, well, the security apparatus, basically, the KGB, FSB, all the. I think they are a bit shocked the way basically things played out with basically the Ayatollah being killed on the first day of the campaign. It just shows that any dictator in the world is a potential target, and most likely, if certain countries wanted the Putin junta to be destroyed, it can happen in a matter of days. Basically, probably there's already very sophisticated intelligence operations have been conducted to identify the multiple heads in the junta, where they are, what they do, basically their daily routines, everything. And of course, the regime, the number one worry is to survive, personally survive, as persons, and these are living people, and for them the number one is to survive. Well, and the number two maybe is not to get in jail. And then maybe number three is to care about their people or anything else. So I think that's one effect that we are seeing, that the regimes, and especially the junta that I mentioned, they are, I would say, worried. And they should be worried as well. I mean, because it was, I would say, amazing what happened, the sophistication of the campaign. So that's one. But of course, on a practical level, everything gets expensive. Of course, all the gas prices, all the heating prices, all the petrol prices, all the everything, to do with the agriculture, farming, the pesticides that you need and everything. So we are experiencing the same that happened 4 years ago when the Russian aggression started in Ukraine. It was immediately inflation, erosion of purchasing power, and so yeah.
Yeah. Looking ahead, what does a secure and stable Europe look like to you, and what happens next politically and militarily to get there?
Well, I would say we will not be a secure Europe with the regime that we have to the east of Latvia. We will not be. So and there is something happening now in Russia as we speak, that I don't know how to translate it. We are seeing that they are cutting off now the internet, all the Telegram, all these VPN channels, basically like information blackout. So they are preparing for something. Either mass mobilization, either maybe an attack on the West, either internal repressions. We don't know. So Europe will not be safe and secure with this regime, and it's not one person. It's not Putin only. So it's a multiple heads that have been in power for 25 years. So we don't know what's their next move.
Yeah. That was Gatis Eglitis offering a clear and compelling perspective from the Baltic Frontline, a region that is not just watching history unfold, but actively shaping Europe's response to one of the greatest security challenges in decades. Thank you so much, sir, once again for your time and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you very much, and all the best.